Good morning. My name is Sandra Bakun. I live in Dennis, and I'm here at the Dennis Senior Center to tell a story, show and tell. My story was in Chicken Soup for the Soul, Miracle of Love. It's a story about old people falling in love. I qualify. I'm 83, and I was lucky enough to have two loves in my life. So, if I may, can I read you my story? It's called Come Here. Grow old along with me, the best is yet to be, said Robert Browning. It was a beautiful summer day in July. I had cleaned the house, bought the groceries, and run the errands. Now I had time to walk the beach and unwind before the relatives arrived for Jim's anniversary mass. I pulled on my bathing suit, shirts, and shorts and headed for Cold Storage Beach, my favorite at low tide, because I can walk all the way to Brewster on smooth, hard sand with a view of the entire arm of the Cape. A year had passed since the morning when I found him on the floor, struggling to tell me what happened. I called 911, and he was dead 6 hours later at Cape Cod Hospital. He'd had a massive brain hemorrhage. It was a long and lonely year for me. I completed a bereavement group therapy course, and I cried 1,000 rivers, yet I felt no relief. Despair was my daily companion, and life seemed so meaningless without my soulmate. We'd been married for 48 years. He was my anchor. Our 4 children were grown, and it was time for us to complete our bucket lists. He was my happy-go-lucky side and balanced my seriousness perfectly. "Damn you, Jim," I cried out to the vast ocean in front of me. Surf splashed against my legs, sending my protests straight to heaven. But no comfort came. I followed the edge of the sea and walked until the incoming tide surrounded me, and I was on an island far from shore. But I was oblivious to where I was, and I kept on complaining. I was purging myself of feelings I'd kept locked inside, and it felt good to let them go. The water seemed deeper, and I realized I had to head to shore, or swim. I took off my shirts and shorts and held them over my head to keep them dry, and I headed to shore before the tide overcame me. How fast the tide came in, I thought, and how foolish of me not to pay attention. The late afternoon sun felt like a warm blanket. I stretched out and soaked it up. "God help me," I sputtered. Looking to the west, I saw a man coming in my direction. We seemed to be the only 2 people way out on the flats. My friends always warned me about walking the beach alone. I walked into the water to avoid him. "Nice day," he shouted out to me. Then he said something else that I didn't hear. "Excuse me?" I asked, not really wanting to engage in conversation with this man. I was too engulfed in my own misery. "It's kind of spooky. You're standing where I threw her ashes." Oh my God, I thought. Then I faced him. He was tall and thin with a graying beard. A golf cap and sunglasses obscured his face, but his body language was loud and clear. He was kind and not to be feared. "I'm so sorry," I called out against the sounds of the surf. We looked at each other. "Are you all right?" My husband died too. Then he opened his arms with such sympathy. "Come here," he said softly. So in a haunting fog, I walked from the water onto the sand and into his arms, and we shared a moment that changed us forever. It was a warm hug. I'm being emotional. It was a warm hug that said, "I'm sorry for your heartache. I know how you feel." He took hold of my hand and led me to a rock. He had engraved his wife's initials. "She died a long time ago when I was a lot younger," he said. "I live in South Carolina now. I'm here visiting a friend in a nursing home. He's not doing well, and all I wanted to do was see him before he dies. I always come here and visit before I head back." Then he told me how his wife had died of cancer and of his fulfilling her desire to be cremated. The Bay was our favorite place. We brought up a family here. I asked about his friend, and when he told me the name of the nursing home, I realized that my employer, a doctor, was the director there. "I'm the secretary for your friend's doctor. What a small world," I said. I married again, he said, but I learned the hard way that you just can't replace someone you loved. It didn't work, and I sold our house in Brewster and moved to South Carolina. It felt weird being so close to him in such a secluded area. So I took my cue to leave after revealing very little about myself. How could I have just walked into his arms like that, I said. He could have been a serial killer. Yet I felt something, a spark that both excited and scared me as I walked faster back to my car. Weeks later, he called me at work. He had found the doctor's name and did some investigating. I'm the man you met on the beach. Do you remember me? He said. Of course I remember you. How could I forget you? I thought you were an angel, and if I looked back, you'd be gone. I didn't want you to be gone. No one's ever called me an angel before, he said. Can I call you at home? So I gave him my number, and he called that night. And we talked every day after that, realizing how much we had in common. One night he called as I was falling asleep. How old are you? He asked in a panic. What? I said in a sleepy fog. How old am I? A gentleman never asks a woman her age. I don't want to be arrested for courting a minor. I'm 78. Wow, you don't look 78. Do you have a pacemaker? No, I'm very healthy. So how old are you? Well, you're the math teacher. He had told me he was a retired teacher in math for high school. I was married at 19 in 1962. Figure it out. 69, he shot back in an instant. I thought you were much younger. Hooray, I laughed again. We're both old. I can't stand it any longer. Can we meet on the beach again at the same spot? I'm making plans to fly up. In September, my phone rang. I'm at the beach. Are you coming? I made sandwiches, packed them into a backpack, and threw in a bottle of champagne, and I was off in a whirlwind. As he came into view, he walked toward me, arms outstretched. Come here, he sang, and I flew into them. When I pulled out the champagne, his smile turned to laughter. As we sat on the rock toasting each other, 3 women walked by. Congratulations, they called. He hadn't proposed, but those women were prophets. We were 2 lonely people led to that remote area of beach by fate, but we were destined to spend our lives together. And so it was, and I hope this happens to all you people in your old age.